Hey everyone, welcome back to Doll Games, and I've got a confession to make. I'm a massive Falcom fan. I know, it's crazy, but the stress of that secret has been weighing on me and I just had to get it off my chest. So now I can finally relax.
Now repeat after me. Goose fraba. Goose blah blah.
But I'm not going to get so relaxed that I don't finish this video. So today, I'll be reviewing Ys 10 Proud Nordics. And thank you to NISA America for supplying me with a review key for the purpose of this review. You all know I just tell it how it is. So this review is going to be spoiler free, and it's also going to be my own thoughts. Fancy that. Which may be a bit crazy, so I don't know, bear with me on that. Also, like always, if you like what I do, don't forget to hit like and subscribe as I make my way to 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of you. All right, so before I get into the review, let's talk about the timeline of Ys 10 Nordics and Ys 10 Proud Nordics, because I feel like that really needs to be talked about before anything else. Also, just so you know, Ys 10 Proud Nordics is the definitive version of the base game, Ys 10 Nordics. You see, they added Proud to the title to really emphasize how proud they are of this version. Actually, don't quote me on that because I don't know. They might have done it that way, but either way, it sounds good.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It's
Gets
gross.
the people going.
It's how-
Anyways, with this release, we're getting a more definitive version of the game, kind of like how Atlas did it with Persona 5 Royale. Now, granted, this isn't as extensive as Persona 5 Royale, but it's the same concept. Now, the base game released in Japan in September of 2023, and it didn't hit the US until October 2024, which is kind of a long turnaround for a localized version, but hopefully we'll see that changing with newer releases. Now, one thing I wasn't too keen on was that just a year later in November of 2025, we got an announcement for the upcoming release of Ys 10 Proud Nordics. For the Japanese release, that was fine since there was enough time in between the base version and this new definitive version, but in the US, this definitive version felt like it was coming way too soon after the initial release. So that led to all sorts of fans, including myself, scratching our heads and asking why. But anyways, here we are. It's releasing on February 20th of 2026, and I've played it. So let's talk about it. All right, so let's get into the story, and don't worry, this is 100% spoiler free, and I'm not getting into any big reveals or anything that ruins the fun. So, Ys 10 Proud Nordics drops Adol into the Bilya Gulf, this rough northern stretch of sea filled with scattered islands. And it's a shocker, he's on a boat. So he's basically doing what Adol does best. He's traveling, he's minding his own business, and then the ocean decides, no, you're gonna be doing a quest right now. So get on with it. Well, pretty quickly at the beginning of the game, you run into the Normans, this seafaring group that lives out here and kind of just rules the Gulf. So there's already this underlying tension between them and the people living in the area. But that's not the main problem we're facing, because the big threat out here is the Greiger, these mysterious beings or creatures that keep appearing around the islands. And the scary part is, they can't be destroyed with normal weapons. You actually have to use mana, and so few people in the area can actually do that. With that in mind, how does Adol even get pulled into this, and what actually triggers the plot? Well, Adol crosses paths with Karja, a Norman warrior who's basically the opposite of him in attitude. Their first interactions are pretty tense as you can get with a silent protagonist though, but there are enough dialogue choices to really drive the personality between the two. And that tension sticks around for a while, but after an early incident that I won't spoil, Adol and Karja end up linked in a way that forces them to work together. Separating isn't really an option, so they have to figure out what's wrong with them and what's going on with the Greiger. From there, the story becomes this island hopping adventure. Think Wind Waker, but bigger and more filled out. You're traveling to different communities, seeing how each place is dealing with the Greiger threat, and slowly picking up pieces of what's going on in the Gulf. You get answers along the way, but the game keeps dangling bigger questions in front of you. I was really impressed with the character writing across the side cast too. They all have their own personality, and you slowly end up filling your ship with this ragtag band of fun characters. Speaking of the ship, I didn't bring it up earlier, but you'll find yourself becoming the captain of the ship you used to travel around the Gulf. I'll dive deeper into that later in the review, but it's very much this version's command base, similar to Ys 8. Also, watching Karja roll her eyes at Adel every time he wants to do something for the sake of adventure is pretty funny. I was a huge fan of that part of the writing. You can see how Karja is more rigid and Adel is just kind of rolling with the punches like he always does. Her reactions to that are always great. Now with this version of the game, you'll experience everything you did in the base game, plus a lot of extra sprinkled throughout. They do a great job of seamlessly integrating the new content into the main story, giving the lore a little bit more depth and tying up any loose ends that might have been left unanswered in the base game, which is definitely great to see. But if you already played the base game recently, it might not be worth jumping into this right away. It's perfect for future replays though if you plan to do that. Alright, let's get into the presentation of the game. If you're a fan of Falcom's aesthetic, you won't be disappointed here. They're still using their in-house engine, and honestly, I think it looks great. Like I mentioned in my Trails review, this helps Falcom cut development costs and time, and it means we actually get these games at a solid pace, which really works out for all of us fans. I can't stress enough how much I want other developers to learn from this approach. Between the Yakuza games and Falcom games, we've got plenty of proof that you don't need to chase AAA for every single release. Visually, East 10 Proud Nordics looks really strong. The Abelia Gulf setting does the game wonders when it comes to beautiful locations and vibrant colors. You're constantly bouncing between open water and island towns, so you get a nice mix of places to explore. Plus, there are enough dungeons in a variety of styles to keep you satisfied. The water effects look really good, and the sailing sections have the perfect look to make you feel like you're just on an adventure. Now, I wasn't joking when I compared it to Wind Waker earlier. It's not cel shaded, but it has that colorful anime look that makes the world a great place to explore. Now, I'm a huge fan of the character modeling style in Falcom games, and this one doesn't disappoint either. I feel like the character designs are strong across the board, and they do such a great job of making each character have a distinct style and personality. I especially love the looks Karja gives Adal whenever he makes a decision based on, hey, it sounds like it's fun, let's just do it. Which always means trouble, and she knows it. So if you're into the anime presentation Falcom goes for, this is exactly that, and it fits the tone of the game really well. Now battles also are really fast paced, which is what you'd come to expect from an Ys game, so this game is no different. And then there's the sound, because it's Falcom, so yes, I'm going to talk about the music. The soundtrack has that classic Ys flair, and I'm not complaining at all. There are a lot of memorable tracks here, and overall, I'm a huge fan of the soundtrack. The voice acting also sounded really great to me, and it felt on par with the quality we've come to expect from NIS America's localization team, so I've got no complaints there. Now I want to touch on performance just a little bit, since it's something I really care about, especially in action games. I played this on the PC and I didn't run into any slowdown on max settings, but obviously depending on your build it may vary. Luckily, there are plenty of settings to mess around with so you can dial it in for some smooth gameplay. I also played a ton of this on my Steam Deck and can confirm it runs wonderfully there. At around medium settings, I was getting between 50 to 60 FPS, and you can always optimize it further. Exploring this world while laying down on the couch with a Steam Deck is pure bliss. I'm just saying. But I did run into a few bugs and odd things while playing. The new feature called the mana grab didn't always grab the way I wanted it to, and on occasion the camera would flip out when moving through corridors or tight spaces in general. I know there's a day one patch for consoles coming out, so hopefully that stuff gets ironed out. But in terms of differences between this and the original release, I don't see anything major from a presentation perspective, outside of the extra islands and dungeons you'll have access to here. But I'm always happy for anything extra to explore in this world. Next, let's get into the gameplay, because this is where Ys 10 Proud Nordics really starts to show off. Now, the core of the game is built around the fact that you're playing as Adal and Karja, and the whole combat system is designed around swapping between them or fighting as a pair. So compared to the most recent Ys games, you don't have a full party. We're almost back to the days of Ys when Adal was a solo adventurer. almost. But this game uses the cross-action system, and it basically comes down to two styles. In solo mode, you control either Adel or Karja directly, and it stays fast-paced with a really cool mechanic where you can switch characters mid-special attack and trigger a combo follow-up. And in duo mode, you're controlling them together, which slows the movement down just a bit, and you spend more time focused on balancing guarding and special attacks. I'm not going to lie, I had a blast in duo mode, and I kind of leaned on it most of the time. Then I'd probably swap into solo mode when I needed to quickly reposition or set something up for more strategic moves. Now, the other big piece is the revenge gauge. When you're guarding properly, you're building that gauge up, and then you cash it out with your duo skills. And speaking of guarding, if you're a fan of perfect blocks, you'll have a blast with Ys 10. If you hit a perfect block, you'll either get a counterattack or you'll get a quick cutscene of Adel and Karja giving the enemy a beatdown.
I'm ready.
Also, skills have a mastery angle too, so the more you use the skill, the more it levels up, so don't forget to keep rotating what you use. Now, on top of that, Ys 10 has a progression system called the release line, which is basically your skill tree for Adel and Karja. Once you start working with mana, you'll start to earn mana points when you level up, and you spend those points to unlock different nodes on this tree. Each character has their own release line, and unlocking nodes gets you character-specific battle skills for solo mode. Unlocking nodes also lets you attach mana seeds to them, which basically gives you extra stat boosts and skills depending on which ones you choose. Now let's talk about mana, because mana is a huge part of how you move around and how you fight in this one. You've got a set of mana actions that work for exploration and combat. Mana String lets you swing to distant points, and later upgrades can interact with objects or switches. Mana Ride is your movement tool that lets you hover and move fast across certain surfaces. And Mana Burst is a charge elemental attack with fire for Adel and ice for Karja. That's used for damaging and opening paths and environments. The big new addition in Proud Nordics is the Mana Hold, which lets you manipulate objects for puzzles and can also reflect attacks back at enemies. Though, I'll be real, it can be a bit buggy at times, but hopefully that gets fixed in the day one patch. And then there's the ship, because yes, you spend a lot of time exploring the world on it. The Sandris is the main way you get around and can be upgraded as you progress. In Proud Nordics, sailing is faster thanks to quality of life improvements, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it still kind of feels slow to me, at least until you unlock ocean currents, and that could take a while. But thankfully the game has an auto travel system which lets you visit places that you've already visited on the map, so it kind of speeds things up. Oh, and you also have this boost called the Mana Sail that gives you a nice burst of speed, even if the recharge can feel a little bit long on that one. Now, there's ship combat, and it's a big part of the game too. I know some people weren't a fan of this in the initial release, but I actually had a lot of fun with it. It added a nice fun dynamic to exploring the world and felt good destroying enemy ships. So yeah, gameplay wise, this is still very much Ys 10 at its core, but Proud Nordics adds enough new toys and extra content that it feels like the most complete version of this game. If you've loved the base game, the new mechanics and the added activities are the real reason to come back. If you have never played Ys 10 before, this is the version to start with. So side content in Ys 10 is actually pretty stacked, and most of it ties back into either getting stronger or learning more about the world, so it never feels truly like busy work. I especially think that within the side content, we see a lot of additions to this Proud Nordic version. Now, the big exploration hook in the base game are the runestones, which are scattered around the Gulf and give you small story snippets about the ancient Normans, which adds a lot of context for Karja and her people. They also hand out mana seeds, so I feel like it's a win-win when you get more lore and extra upgrade material. And if you love fishing in your JRPGs, you'll not be disappointed in Ys 10. It's here and it plays exactly how you'd expect if you've played Ys 8. It's a simple concept which I appreciate. You just find a glowing area in the water with fish, pick your bait, and follow some on-screen prompts to catch them. Now, fishing is not always my favorite thing to do, but I always feel inclined to do it in these games, so I'm happy it's not too troublesome. Then you've got everything ship related, which is a huge part of the side content. So you have naval combat, which has you fighting Gregor ships with weapons and skills, and some encounters also let you board enemy ships after breaking their durability, which is a nice change of pace to just ship battles. Plus you get extra items that help you upgrade your skills and weapons, so honestly, I can't complain. Oh, and we've got a penguin. The cutest penguin. And he's always hungry for fish. So please feed him. Look at him. He's just so hungry. Now, when it comes to the Proud Nordics version, you'll see a bunch of nice additions to the side content. On one of the islands, you'll stumble onto the Bergen Coliseum, which is perfect for testing out your battle abilities with Adel and Karja together or separate for solo trials. You also get a lot of great items as you unlock new fights in the Coliseum as the story unfolds. They also added an extra area called the Ceaseless Sea, which brings in a bunch of new combat challenges, so if you're a fan of sea battles, you're in for a treat. If not, then I guess you can skip it, maybe? Either way, more options is never a bad thing, right? Also, if you're a fan of getting around with the Mana Ride feature, they added Mana Ride races too. It takes a bit of time to get used to the controls enough to be good at racing, but once you do, it looks pretty awesome. Now, the last piece of side content added to Proud Nordics is the Dungeon Muspelheim. I'm pretty sure I said that right. Let me know in the comments. Which is a brand new endgame dungeon that's supposed to challenge you. So if you're a glutton for punishment, you can test your skills there. Now, Proud Nordics definitely makes a ton of great additions to the base game from a side content perspective. But like I said earlier, if you've already played it, you might not be inclined to pick it up again just yet. But when you do, you'll have a great time with the new content. And for anyone new who isn't sure if they should pick this up, just know I was incredibly addicted to it. So there's a lot to love, and it's worth a purchase if you're into fun action RPGs with a lot of charm. So do yourself a favor and go out and get it. Now, I'm waiting. Hurry up, because I have to finish this video. So go get it right now.
Seriously, do it. Do it. Do it.
All right, so to wrap this up, Ys 10 Proud Nordics is a really fun time, and I was pretty addicted to just about everything in this game. It's exactly what I want out of Falcom when it comes down to ease. Between the presentation, the music, and how smooth the combat feels, you'll want 100% everything, and I know I wanted to. And now, with Proud Nordics specifically, I'm happy this version exists. The extra islands and dungeons are a great addition, and the new content is integrated in a way that feels like it was always part of the game. If you've never played the base game, this is absolutely the version I'd tell you to jump into. If you've played Nordics recently, I don't think you need to sprint into this day one, but it's perfect for future replay when you're ready to revisit. And also, if you've enjoyed the review, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.